Today I will be talking about math curriculum. There is a particular math curriculum which is my favorite for like young children. But before I go into that, I just want to mention like a few things that can help you decide on a good math curriculum. The first thing to remember with math is that you're developing intuition. It's anything that helps you develop that in your children. Any curriculum, like look at that and see if it's going to make them intuitive about the patterns and the math, because math is really like reality based, like it's all around us, right? So you want something that's going to build that intuition. Second thing to look for is, like, remember that math is a skill based subject. So you want, and with skills what happens is you build one thing on top of another many a times. So you want to make sure that the skills, there are no gaps in their understanding. And if you find that something is like amiss, or they missed a skill and it's creating problems, like go back a few steps and rebuild from the point where they start having some kind of gap in their understanding. Can you guys hear me fine? This is my first time, so I really don't know. There is no way to know except if you comment. Can any of you comment and let me know if you can hear me? Okay, great. Great. Jazakallah khair, Jama. Thank you so much. Okay. So yes, the skills, so you want to build the skills, okay? So that's the second thing. The third thing is for like the younger ages, you want to more casually build the skills. And I think, Gemma, you had mentioned this in your preschool video that, you can casually build that math understanding, in conversations, through games and, just normal daily life. That's the first step. Like you have this culture, you have this environment in your home where you casually build that mathematical understanding of things, just even the basic understanding that numbers is like, it's a numerical representation of a quantity. So being able to count things, then relating those quantities with the numerical notation, then understanding the order, like, it's like 2 is more than 1, like having these basic ideas, developing that understanding is important. So after that stage, you want to introduce more of the hands-on material. Like, I don't want to go too deep into this. I have done a video on this, and I will link that on the Facebook post, or maybe on the blog itself. I will put all the links to basically, give you an idea how you should approach this whole the subject itself. Okay. So now, why do I like this curriculum? So this one that I am doing right now is on MIQUON Math. And one of the things that you begin with is the Cuisenaire rods. So these rods are basically, they represent different numbers. So this is like a 1. This is a 2. Okay. So on and so forth. And then they are available in like wooden or plastic form. So I prefer the wood. I haven't used the plastic one, so I don't really know how they are. But these are so when you introduce this curriculum, the first thing you do is you buy these rods and you basically use any kind of tray or even your table and just let them play with it. Just playing with it for a few weeks will give them an understanding that this is 1, this is 2. They kind of figure out. So that's why that intuition is important. Like, like using things that will indirectly kind of build that intuition. So that's the first step, letting them play for a few weeks. The next thing you do is, this is a diary that was, okay, I think I'm doing it in the wrong order. So this curriculum, MIQUON Math, it goes from grade 1 to 3, but actually you can assume like it's from pre-K to grade 3. And it comes with 6 books. And the books are color-coded. So you begin with the orange book. And they basically cover arithmetic. So this is the order. The orange book, the red book, the blue book, the green one, the yellow, and the purple. These are the lab, they call it the lab sheets. So the way it's set up is it's treated like like an experiment. So each of the sheets are called as lab sheets, okay? Because they treat it as that's another good thing about this one. Like, it's treated as an exploration. Like, you're experimenting with numbers. You're trying to play with numbers and figure out. So that's why this curriculum does not, there's no right or wrong way to do it. If the child doesn't get it, it's fine, because it's supposed to be more of like an exploration. So anyway, so these are the different books that the child uses, and then these are the resources that the teacher uses. Out of these, I would say I haven't really used the notes to teacher. I'll show you what that looks like. It's like a thin booklet, and I think it gives the teacher some understanding what they're really doing and stuff like that. But I haven't used this one, so I wouldn't know what to tell you. But basically, this curriculum was used in a city called MIQUON in Pennsylvania. It's an American curriculum, and it is actually surprisingly good. It's very good. In fact, I like the way they have. I'll go into that. I'm going all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit like, this was impromptu. So, so this is the first resource. This, in my opinion, you can do without ordering this. Okay? So that's one thing. The other thing is the 6 books. And for each grade level, you have 2 books. So the orange book and the red book, which is this one, and I don't have the red book right now, but the orange book and the red book are used for grade 1. The blue and the green are used for grade 2, and the yellow and the purple is used for grade 3. So what do you do before grade 1? Before grade 1 starts, like your pre-K age, you can use the Cuisinart rods that I just showed, and you basically let them play. And there's a lot of games you can play with this, and to use this, the ideas are given in this resource, which is called as the first grade diary. The first grade diary is basically, so when they were doing this, when they were trying this out in a school, the teachers were recording their experiences. So for every day, they were recording what they did, how the children played, what did they teach, what was happening in the classroom. So this is really a good starting point. When you go through this book, and what you can do is, like, after you have introduced them to Cuisinart rods and they have played with it, they've been building with it, just exploring, you can start doing some of the activities in this book. So for every day, there is like there's a suggestion. It's not laid out like a lesson plan, and that's why a lot of people get confused as to how you can really use this curriculum. It's more of like, they were doing an experiment in a school to see how this curriculum works, and they recorded their experience. But this is really exceptional. I don't understand why this is not popular. But anyways, so you can use this book to get ideas on what you can do with your child, like building stairs, and then it's just amazing. Most of it uses the Cuisinart rods. Sometimes there is some other things that you can use, but I think you can manage it. There's nothing much. There's nothing difficult about it. Like, as you go through it, you'll see that it's a lot of common sense things or things around the house. So you can easily teach using this book. So introduces things like number line, your addition, subtraction, basic arithmetic stuff. The cool thing about this is the way it's introduced. It's really amazing the way things are introduced in this curriculum. They build the order in which the topics are covered, and even the way they present it, it develops that deeper understanding. I wish I had a better example. Like for example, sometimes, so when they give something like this, like an addition problem, sometimes they will reverse it. The answer block, the square for the answer will be in the front, and then the question will be on the right. They're not saying anything, but it teaches them indirectly that the order is not important. Or, for example, where the order is important, they will do something. They'll switch things around constantly to develop that understanding without talking about it, without a mention of it. So that's about the diary. So you can spend your entire kindergarten year doing this. Just some games with the Cuisinart rods. This book can be your guide. And there is an amazing website. It's called as Education Unboxed. So there's this woman who used the Cuisinart rods as a, and she basically, she's recorded a number of videos, what activities she's doing with her daughters. And the children are playing, and, she has like really nice videos on her website. And I think that can come in really handy to understand how to use these Cuisinart rods. Okay, so after this is done, you can start with one of these books, the first book, the orange book. So now, a lot of you have asked me that, how do you use this? Because this is confusing. So let me show you how it's done. So for example, let's say this is your sheet that you're going to work on today. So on this sheet, to see the instructions for the sheet, what you do is you go down and you look at this. It tells you reference lab sheet annotations, page 24. This lab sheet annotations is actually like a teacher's manual. And if you are looking to buy this curriculum, you want to buy that. And that one looks like this. It's a thick book, and it basically has instructions for all 3 grade levels. So it's not in an order, and that's why a lot of people get confused. So I want to show this clearly because that's what the question was specifically about. So any book you open up, they have these little notes written at the bottom of the page, which kind of connects you to the teaching manual. It's called as lab sheet annotations. I know it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like a teacher's manual or whatever, but basically these are the lab sheets, and this is what helps you execute that. So here it says page 24 for this sheet, right? So let's go to page 24. So this is page 24, right? So there's a whole bunch of sheets copied here, and this is the same as this one, right? So for this particular sheet, you have the instructions here. So basically it will tell you how do you do the sheet. Here there's very little text because I think they must have highlighted how it's done in the previous page, and it's a continuation. So that's the thing that most people get confused about with MIQUON Math. How do you do the sheets? So these references to the lab sheet annotation page, that is your only guide. Okay? So this, hey Humera, it's good to see you. So again, this is what confuses people. It does not have a teaching manual. Your lab sheet annotations books is the lab sheet annotation book itself is your teaching guide, and it gives you some guidance on how you do the page. If you feel that the instructions are kind of not sufficient for you, don't worry about it. Just give the sheet to your child and let them explore. Even if they don't do some of these pages, it's fine. I think it's set up like that. It's set up in a way that they explore, and then they come up with, they basically develop that intuition that I spoke about in the beginning. So yeah, so that's how it's done. So you need this book. Book for sure. This is your teaching manual, and the books themselves I've already shown. This book is optional. And if you have a very young child, you will benefit from this one. And once again, that website where I told you about the games on Cuisinart rods is called as Education Unboxed. I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to talk about this curriculum. So if anybody has any questions, I don't see many people online, but if anybody has any questions, please let me know. And if I don't see any questions, then I'll go through the questions that came in the form of a message. Okay. Okay, so it looks like I don't have any questions here. Okay, so one of the questions I received was, how do you transition from... okay, I have a question. I missed the first part, but are there periodic tests or reviews for this curriculum? So the thing with this one is there are no tests or reviews. If you look at this one, it basically covers a lot of arithmetic. It won't go into it's I would say it's like a starting. I don't know if this even aligns with the Common Core standards and the other things. So there are no tests in this one, but this is more of like I mentioned in the beginning, that this develops that intuition in math. So it's a very, it will build a strong foundation in math. On top of this, you can build other stuff. So you may be able to use this as a supplement. I used it as a supplement. This was not our main curriculum. This was one of the things we were doing, apart from another one. But I feel that this built my son's intuition. And you want that because, as they go in higher grades, they need to have that solid understanding. So this will give them that that confidence, and it will make them think creatively with math. This is for the curriculum itself. The books go from grades 1 to 3. So I mentioned in the beginning that there are 6 books, 2 books for each grade level. So grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. But I would say, I mentioned that before you start with these books, you have to let the child play with the Cuisinart rods for a few weeks, build something, explore, do whatever they want. And they start making stairs, like, starting from 10, 9, whatever, like, make the stair, like, and then see the difference between each one. There's a lot of games you can play with them. And I mentioned about a website which has good ideas on this. It's called as Education Unboxed. She has nice videos on games you can play. So first you do that. So you can start, I think at age 4, you can start with little games and things like that. And for the kindergarten year, you can use their first grade diary. This is the book that you can buy. It has all the experiences of the teachers, what they were doing every day in their school. It's recorded here. So it will give you enough ideas to do things with your child. So this you can do in the kindergarten year, and you can again use the ideas on that Education Unbox website. And from grade 1, you can start the orange book. It wouldn't hurt even if you start this in kindergarten. I think it's a lot of things are fairly simple. I just started using it with my younger one, who just turned 6 last week. So I think they'll do fine, even if you start earlier. Just slow down where you need to and follow their pace. This, okay, where do you know where this curriculum can be bought for a good deal? Okay, Rainbow Resource is a great website for buying curriculum here in the US. So I just checked their price. They have the entire set so the 6 books and the lab annotations book, which is this one, which is the teaching manual. All of this for $60. Which is a great price. And if you buy individual workbooks, I think they are kind of like, I think about $9 or something. So you can experiment with this. You can just buy, if you have a very young one, you can start with the first grade diary. Buy these Cuisinart rods. This is also available on Amazon. And I prefer the wood ones, but I think you also get them in plastic. I have 2 sets. I have a lot of them here. But I think they are great. My children even play with them, and it's really nice, mashallah. I think I like the way this has developed the understanding of my younger one. I did not formally teach him anything yet, but he knows quite a bit just because he plays with this all the time. And then this is the diary that I would love. I would highly recommend if you want to get an idea how to do this, and you are completely clueless, because the lab annotations can be a bit abstract, and a lot of people who have sent me questions were like, how do you use it? I like this curriculum, but then it's very confusing. How do you use it? So yeah, it doesn't go in an order. It doesn't have lesson plans. It does not have a typical format of a curriculum. It has more of a, like I mentioned, it's more of like an exploration type of a curriculum. So you have these lab sheets which are treated as like like a lab work, and the child is exploring, and then just to give you some ideas, you can look at the respective page numbers mentioned here, and get some ideas how to how to do the lesson. But don't treat it like most of the times, I don't know if I can say most of the times. Sometimes you may not know what to do with the sheet, and you still want to give it to your children and let them explore. So that's about it. So I think yeah, if you still have any questions, please let me know. I will reply. You can ask me other questions, if you have any other questions, not necessarily related to this, you can ask me right now, and inshallah I'll try to answer. They are called as Cuisine rods. I will type it for you so that you know the spelling. Cuisinaire rods. Yeah, they're called as Cuisinaire rods, and they are an amazing resource. I think it's worth the money. You can use it in many ways. It's really good. So just to give an idea, I have tried out many math curriculum. Like science and math, I feel very confident about my conclusions. I'm passionate about these subjects, so I have tried some advanced curriculums. Oh, Humaira, thank you so much. Humaira saying, also please post what we do in a day video. Would love to see it. No, okay. You just come over. You spend the day with me. Okay, I will try to do that. Thank you so much for everybody who listened in. And I know that some of the people who posted these questions, I think they're in a different time zone right now, and I just this is all impromptu, so I hope they get to watch this later on. And feel free to, anybody who's watching the recording later on, feel free to post me a question. I will reply as soon as I get a chance. So I think I covered most of the questions. The main questions that I had received was, how do you discuss what do you need to buy for this? I think I already mentioned that. Somebody asked me, how do you plan the lesson, and how do you basically, how do you navigate this curriculum? It's difficult. I already showed you that. I also discussed how to transition. Somebody asked me how to transition from the preschool age to a more curriculum format. I think did I cover that? I think I covered that. I'm not sure. So basically, yeah, I think I mentioned that in the preschool age, you just want to give them a lot of hands-on material, or just bring it up in conversations, gradually build up that understanding through your everyday experiences. And then once they're ready, give them something hands-on, and then do something more, start with the workbooks and other stuff. This is not like a workbook format. It's like a lab sheet. And if you really look into this curriculum, you'll see how beautifully it develops, like such a deep understanding. It looks like a very simple book, but trust me, these sheets, some of them are complex. They really get the child thinking. So I love that. I absolutely love that. Like, see this stuff. They're adding fractions here, but then it's done on a number line. So it becomes easy. But you're really teaching them deep stuff without making it look big and difficult. So that's amazing. So I like this. Homera's asking, I think you said this is not a complete curriculum. What other math curricula you're using? Okay, so until last year, I was using Singapore Math along with this one. So I started when my son was very young. I used Singapore Math, the US style workbook, which was really dumbed down. It wasn't very impressive. But the first grade onward, the Singapore Math, the primary mathematics that I did was somewhat better, and I used this one along with it. But looking back, I feel like it wasn't. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't as great as it's. I could do without it. I could just use this and straight away start with Russian math, which I'm using right now. So I use like translated textbooks from Russia, and those are amazing, but they are not like a standard curriculum. So if you are interested, I can share about that later in a video. But those are basically, there is a university here. I think University of Chicago has had a department where they were translating books from other countries just to kind of understand what they're doing differently. And their math is solid. I mean, I'm doing grade 2 book with my son, and he's supposed to be in 4th grade now. But I think it's way beyond even, the typical 4th grade level work in the US books. So it's really amazing. So yeah, so I use Singapore Math along with MIQUON Math, and they are a good combination. But last year, I felt like my son was losing interest in math. When I stopped using this one and I focused more on the Singapore Math, that happened. So I don't know. I think if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do Singapore Math. Their mental math stuff is good, but if you can just touch upon those things, that should be sufficient. Other than that, I definitely like this one more. Did that answer your question? Okay, great. All right, so what else? I think I covered everything. If anybody has any other questions about anything else, I'm here for another 5 minutes, and then I think I'm done. Did I miss something? I don't think so. I covered the price. I went over the first grade diary, how to teach a lesson. Yeah, I think I already mentioned this one does not have a lesson plan or like an elaborate schedule that you get with some of the curriculum. That's why it's not popular. It's very cheap, and but it's an amazing resource. So it's worth giving a shot. And do check out that website that I mentioned, Education Unboxed. She has really nice videos on that. Anything else? I am about to sign off. So here's what I'll do. I will make a blog post with all the links and all the information that I just mentioned, including the link to buy this curriculum. I will again list down the must-haves and the extras. The must-haves would be the workbooks themselves and the lab sheet annotations, which is like the teaching manual. And some of the other things that I would include on that is the links that I mentioned, the websites, and also I will link a video I had done about math teaching in general, like how you should approach math. I think that video goes in detail about how you can teach math in an easier way. So I will make a blog post and I will also post this on the Facebook page. And if you have any questions, you can text me. Also, how long do you do the lessons for each day? Okay, like general lessons, you mean? How long do I teach? Or the math lesson? If you're talking about general teaching, oh, these math lessons. So it depends. So with my older one, if I'm doing this book, I would try to do at least 2 lab sheets with him. I haven't used this curriculum with him in a while. He still has to finish 2 books from this series. He has done, I think, up to book number 4, but he has not done the remaining 2. So when I used to do it with him, I think we used to do 2 pages. That was usually our target every day. And with my younger one right now, I have just started it. So it just depends. I think 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the most, and not more than that. And with the Cuisine rods, I have been just giving my younger one these to play with. Sometimes I'll ask him questions like, how much will be 3 taken 4 times, for example. So he will use the 3 rod. This is not the 3 rod, this is the 3 rod. So he will basically take the 3 rod. Let's say, how much is 3 taken 4 times? So he will put this in a line 4 times and then measure how long that is. So he will use a 10 and then this one or this one. Oh, so this he can easily count. 10 and 2, so it's 12. 3 taken 4 times is 12. So, basically something like that. How good are these resources to supplement what the kids learn at school? You can definitely use it. A lot of people use, even if their kids go to school, they use these kind of materials at home, because sometimes the schools, depending on how they are being taught at school, unfortunately, many of the curriculums that are available in the market don't really develop that intuition, that flexibility that should happen in math, that problem solving, or just like feeling confident with math, that exploration. So these kind of curriculums really help with that, because they develop a stronger understanding, and the children feel like they can experiment with it. It's not just about a right and a wrong answer, but more of like, what are the different ways this can be done, completely different kind of questions. Like, if you go through these books, you'll notice it's quite unlike what you see in school books here. It's very interesting. And I forgot to mention, I think somebody had asked, is there a review in this? Actually, there is. I forgot about this completely. But every few pages, you have a sheet like this. See this one? Which says that you make like a small booklet out of it. So you tear it out and you fold it here, and it's like a little booklet with a couple of questions. So then the child can just solve that, and that becomes like a review of the last few topics that they covered. So yeah, there is review built into this. I had forgotten about that. Yeah. So yeah, these resources are great if you want to just supplement them, use this as a supplement for what they do in school. There is no rote memorization here. There is no, I feel like some of the school curriculum are lacking in that, like developing that understanding. So this really helps with that.